Anyway, it's not like he's gonna ever ask me to like cover my hair or something.
That's good.
And you were like telling me like you'd never wanted a wife that like wears a hijab, like anything. Like what happened?
But now I am different.
Unfortunately, they took our money. You know, like we invested all our money.
I knew it.
But fourth partner
Stole it.
I knew it.
How am I gonna explain to everybody this?
I don't give a
Like, everybody
same way
left?
that you didn't explain to me our investment property.
He's still responsible for Jasmine till this day, and he hasn't helped with anything. That's some scumbag.
And my mom very concerned about my happiness.
You are happy, right?
What the hell is that?
Because now you're working a spot with all the rich hot girls that have more than me and they're younger and prettier and whatever else, you know? I'm sure you're plotting and planning because that's what it feels like when we're back home. You're plotting and planning an exit because you got what you already got what you wanted from me. So discard is ready to happen and that's what I feel.
The level of audacity that we witnessed last night proves why it's so important to set boundaries and to have them be unbendable. And not only is it important to set them, period, but you need to set them early because people will go as far as you let them. And last night was a testament to what happens when people know that there are no consequences when it comes to messing with you. They are gonna push it every single time. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. We have a lot to cover per usual. Before we get into it, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry I sound a little stuffy. I think I'm coming up with a cold, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna get into this delicious mess. And as always, I will include timestamps in the description so you can skip around as you wish. We're gonna start this off with Gino and Jasmine. We've usually been ending with them, but I think we just can get them out the way, okay? So Natalie is still outside with Gino. Homegirl cannot get an Uber apparently in Michigan. She is struggling. The producers are not giving her a ride. Gino came here in a car, yet is here like a doofus. So Natalie, all she can do is yell, right? She's embarrassed. She's like, I'm a mother of two. I'm a career woman. I think she said like her daughter's in the Navy. Like basically, I am a respectable woman. This drama is beneath me. And I agree. It is beneath you. And I think your ass was set up. So she's just like, I want to go home. I want to go home. Gino is there like a log. Okay. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, just like the weakest of apologies. And so he's like, Natalie wants to leave, but I don't want her to leave. I don't think me and her should leave. Jasmine and Matt should leave. And as he's saying this, he's completely thrown off at the fact that Matt would even be invited. And I'm like, you know what, Gino? You should have set this boundary with your family. Jasmine and I are not allowed to be at the same function. You're gonna have to make a choice at which one you want us at. Because it is just deeply uncomfortable. And also, I just think that it is beyond me for you to go in complaining about your husband's girlfriend when you are walking in with your boyfriend. I don't care how you dress it up. That man is your boyfriend. She has no ground to stand on when it comes to that. And while Gino is a trash bag, I would feel awful to know that my family doesn't have my back, that they don't even want to respect my peace enough to give me one night to have fun with them without my ex-wife or my future ex-wife. So at this point, Natalie's just like, please go, like, leave me alone, like, give me some space. He is kind of lingering, but then he sees his nephews come out. His nephews are like, oh, come on, let's have a good time. And I'm like, okay, kick out Jasmine. Like, Gino's obviously not gonna have a good time. And he tells them, I'm not gonna go in there while they're there. And so they pan inside, right? And Jasmine is like, I was just so frustrated walking in and seeing her be so entitled with my husband. And honestly, she saw what she wanted to see because when she walked in, Natalie and Gino were in the thick of it because she was just finding out so much information. She was not smiling. She was not clinging to his arm. So this is BS, Jasmine. You wanted to start up a scene and you did. And Michelle finally opened her mouth. And how convenient that she does it after Jasmine explodes, right? She's like, well, right when you came in, actually, she was finding out some things. And it turns out she was in the dark about everything. Gino was lying to her too. And Jasmine in that moment is like, oh, what an ass. Typical of my husband to lie. And I'm like, Jasmine, if you were a better woman, you would take that information and be like, I need to apologize to this girl because she is innocent. But not once did it occur to her to apologize. She says it in her confessional that she feels bad, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you feel bad. You don't have to tell us you feel bad. You should give a proper apology to Natalie.
I feel bad for overreacting because I really thought that this woman came knowing the truth. Surprise, surprise. Guess what, my dear? Your husband not only lied to you, but also to Natalie.
To be called the village whore in front of all these people in a town that she's not from, you think that feels good? And for someone that is constantly being like, I'm not cheating, I'm being accused of something that I'm innocent of, you would think that you would take that piece of information and act accordingly. But again, another trash bag. And so Dana and Michelle are milking their 15 minutes, like just trashing Gino. And don't get me wrong, Gino deserves to be trashed for the things that he has done. I am loving Natalie dragging him because he did not handle that well. But there is something so gross to me about his own family dragging him in defense of Jasmine. If it were my family, I'm like, you're gonna drag me? Yes. Do that shit privately. Do it to my face. But to kiki about it with someone that doesn't feel safe to me is crazy. And so Matt is in there just giddy, laughing at all this. And then I think Jasmine said something like, oh, you know, Matt has just been so basically accountable for me, taking care of me, and as he should. You decided to make him part of your marriage, but Matt somehow is like, you know, I would take care of Jasmine, but you know, I could take Gino to court, really, because I've been, you know, taking care of all her responsibilities, and he's her husband, and he brought her here, and he should be responsible. Gino was responsible for a very long time, and I do agree that that is still his wife, and I know that it would kill me. It would eat my entire insides to help maintain a woman that is banging another guy constantly. It would mess with everything about me. So while I understand why Gino is like, F y'all, I'm also like, she's in a very vulnerable position coming into this country. But then I keep going back and forth, you guys, like, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, she wanted to bounce on Matt's D. Matt can pay for everything. Let's see if he can afford her. Like, I'm just like, I see all sides, right? But I do think it is insane for Matt to think that he has a say or that he can even step up to Gino, because with what cojones, with what, like, I wouldn't have a face to face Gino. And the fact that he walks his little behind out to talk to Gino and him have never talked in person. So this is just like insane. And he's coming out under the guise that he wants to inform Natalie that she should know the full picture. And it's like, who the fuck wants to hear from you? He, again, is stretching his little 15 minutes on camera. So he comes out and he's like, you know, I just think that you should know everything. He was trying to back out of the divorce just last week. And Natalie's like, I think that that's something me and Gino should talk about, but thanks. Which I thought was such a classy move, right? Because you don't have to keep putting all the problems on blast. Gino, he can barely look at Matt. But then in the confessional, he's like, he's so ugly and short. I can't believe that this is someone that Jasmine would be with.
He's really short and, you know, he's kind of ugly. And I'm surprised that Jasmine ended up with this guy. And also, I'm thinking in my head, oh, what the hell is he coming outside for? What the hell does he want? Why is Matt even here at this birthday party? Like, who invited him?
And I'm like, Gino, yes, he's a lame. Yes, he's a cornball. Yes, he is short. But ugly? Gino, please. And he's going on, and Natalie's like, what I'm upset about is being attacked when I came to have a good time. And she's like, especially because I advocated for transparency. It's not like I was up, you know, making moves to deceive her. Like, I'm deceived, basically. And so Matt is here defending Jasmine because, of course, he's a Jasmine apologist. And he's like, oh, well, you know, she overreacted a little bit because she saw you guys together. And Gino is like, she has no ground to, like, say anything because you guys are together. Like, I don't... And Matt is like, well, she's just my friend. Like, you know, I have a lot of friends, Gino. And I don't know how long Matt and Jasmine are going to stretch out this friend story. It is like infuriating. And she's still using the friend story while she's making out with him on Instagram, while they have a whole baby. She keeps calling him her friend. And it's like, do you think we were born yesterday? Okay. Something else that Matt had said earlier, he was like, yeah, you know, Jasmine's a little crazy. Yeah. And maybe I wouldn't like it if it was coming at me, but you know, maybe I like crazy chicks. I'm gonna tell you right now, that man is gonna get sick of that and fast. Someone's lack of emotional regulation gets old fast, and it's only something that they can fix, you know? So again, him being like, yeah, was she a little crazy? Did she overreact on Natalie? It happens. Like, that was his energy. And it just made me hate him even more. Like, he's so unlikable. So he's here lying to Gino, being like, yeah, you know, we're just friends. Like, I have friends, Gino. You know what that is? And Gino's like, yeah, y'all are not friends. And then he says the comment like, I could be with anybody that I want. I'm not like you needing pills. And Gino's like, F off. It has nothing to do with anything. And again, proves that he did not come here to be this like voice of reason for Natalie. He came here to pick a fight with Gino. Just gross. So finally, Natalie's able to obtain a Uber and she's like, I am leaving. Bye. She walks out. Gino's like, and he just looks so defeated out there. And he just walks to his car and he drives off. He's like, I have no business here. And I felt really bad, even though I shouldn't, because he does not deserve my sympathy. But when they pan in and his family is just like kikiing with Jasmine and Matt, like, that would affect my relationship with my family in the long run. There's that. Let's move on to Libby&Andrei. So his mama comes over to take care of the kiddos because they're all gonna head out to the investment property, okay? When they're in the car, Chuck, Libby, they're like, finally, we're gonna get to see what our money went to. It's been like 2 years. Let's see it. I'm thinking they're gonna pull up to like, you know, one of those new high rises, just like they stayed in currently, right? Because when you think investment, you think new, sparkling, modern. They pull up to this house that looks like it needs work on the outside, but then they open the door. First of all, he is struggling to open that door. He opens it, debris comes out, and Libby's like, am I gonna need a mask to come in here? Like, what? They go in, you guys. It looks like someone has started demolishing it from the inside. There's a lot of problems with this image. One, it is old, and they usually do, they flip houses. They don't do demolitions. So Libby's like, this is not what we do. Like, why did you buy this? And he was like, yeah, well, we're going to demolish it. And she's like, that's going to cost so much more money than we've already invested. And then she starts thinking, and she's like, she's looking around and it's terrible. And she's like, I need to get out of here. And she's like, wait, just a moment. We have been sending money for 2 years. 2. And this is the condition? What's up? And so he starts like being like, oh, well, you know, we're working with a Russian company. And then when the Ukraine war happened, things were halted. And she's like, what does that have to do with Moldova? And he's like, oh, well, you know, the company that has the materials is Russian. And they just like stopped communication. And then they're withholding the money. And this and that happened. And yeah, so I'm not able to get a hold of them. So yeah, they're holding our money. So I think it's gone. And Chuck is like, so they stole your money. And he's like, yeah, I think that I think that we lost that money. And he's saying it very like, oh, you know, And Libby's like, why didn't you tell this to me? Why didn't you like share this information? Like, this affects both of us. And he's like, oh, you know, we were just so busy. Busy with what? Busy with what, Andrei? So she is pissed because she was aware of the investment, but she wasn't aware of like the journey that it took because she trusted her husband. And she's like, is there a contract? Like, you know, usually you should have a paper trail and that's, you know, you're able to see where your money went. He didn't sign a contract. I'm sorry, this is the head of your household? I could never. I could never. How could he be so stupid? And so Libby is furious, and he's very much like, I mean, what can you do? That's the energy that he's giving. So obviously, you know, this is not a good time. Chuck is disappointed, but Chuck is also always like trying to play both sides. But the next time we see them, Libby is packing up her bags, honey. She is fuming, okay? She's like, this is who you're gonna be in Moldova? You wanna be a big shot that loses our money, that acts like my opinions aren't important? I'll show you. She's packing up her bags. As she finishes packing bags, she's taking them to the door. He catches wind that she's, you know, carrying around luggages. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm taking my ass and my kiddos home. And he's like, come on, like, are you serious? She's like, very. I'm leaving on the same flight as my dad. And he's like, you're overreacting. And he's taking things out of her luggage. And she's like, no. This is who you want to be in Moldova? I want no part of it. And he's like, did you change my flight? And she's like, no. What am I supposed to tell my people here? And she's like, you can tell them the same thing that you told me about the investment. And I love that, because if you didn't consult her about one thing, you don't get to consult her about the other. And it's just so interesting. Like, I think that Andrei is abusive. I really do. And I think that they tell on themselves every single time. She is being tough as nails right now, right? And, you know, she's gathering her kids, and as they're by the door, he's like, you know what? I'm going to sell our house when I get to Florida. You're being a nasty woman. And she's like, do whatever you want. I'd love to see it. And she's like getting her kids together. Chuck comes out and he's like, you're some father-in-law. And Chuck is like, my daughter is upset and my daughter wants to go home. What do you want me to tell her? Not to go home?
When we're going back, I'm selling the house. Be ready for this, because this is
Okay.
gonna be a problem.
Don't care what you have to say.
So nasty you are. Like, literally, you're gonna leave me here?
Great father-in-law you are.
She wants to go. So that's my daughter. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
We're gonna go.
Like, he is releasing his venom when he's in the wrong. And I think that is the big issue, that he never wants to say, I'm sorry. He could have fixed it with like, babe, I'm sorry. I should have been more transparent. I got screwed over and I was embarrassed. He is not man enough to give her that level of like, it's vulnerability, but in his mind, he thinks that he's giving away his power. Like, imagine a man still being like this when you've been married for years and you've devoted your life to him and you've given him kids, and he still doesn't think that you are worthy of like bare minimum respect. And to threaten her with her security back home and to like call her names like that when he's in the wrong is insane. So she, you know, packs up the car and they head home. And I think that his ego is his downfall, because she was willing to bend to see things out, but Libby never wanted to move to Moldova. And all he had to do was be on his best behavior. And I knew that she would look for the first thing that he did wrong to take her ass back home, which is where she wanted to be. But also, he makes it so easy. And so the only people that I feel bad for are his parents, because they didn't get to say goodbye to their grandchildren. And you know, they're far. So they're the only people that I feel bad for. I do not feel bad for Andrei having to, you know, show face. Not at all. Let's move on to Julia and Brandon. So Julia's parents are finally coming to America for the first time. Julia is stressed out. Julia is here on her knees cleaning the floors. Brandon is shocked because he's never seen her clean. And they're just nervous, but they're going to go to DC to pick them up. They're going to stay there for like a day or two, and then they're going to bring them back to their house in Virginia. And so Julia says something like, I'm really nervous because my mom really wants to make sure that I'm happy. And Brandon is like, you're happy, right? And if you're not, pretend. I hate that little man so much. I really do.
And my mom very concerned about my happiness.
You are happy, right?
I have a fight almost every day.
Okay, well, just don't start a fight and act happy. Everything will be good.
But they're in the car, and Betty, the Wicked Witch of the West, calls them up. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so excited for them to come to the farm. And Julia's like, we're gonna spend a day or two in DC, then we're gonna take them to the house, and then once they're settled in, we'll give you a call. Remember that she said that. She wants space with her parents before she brings them all together. And Betty's like, oh, you're gonna go home first? She just said that, Betty. Keep that in mind, okay? But in the car, Julia's like, make sure that you use up all that Russian that you know, because my parents, they don't really speak a lot of English. Like, make sure. And he's like, yeah. They finally go to DC. Her parents look exactly how I pictured them. I mean that in a good way. Like, they're exactly what I pictured. And they're as direct as she is. They're immediately being like, aren't you cold? Why don't you have a sweater? They're immediately bullying, like playfully bullying Brandon on his Russian. They look around the rooms that Brandon booked. Brandon only booked 2 rooms. So immediately it's like a little awkward because her parents are not married. So somebody's gonna have to sleep in a couch, and it's just like, this could have been avoided. And I think as they're talking about it, Julia is stressed, and so her parents are like sensing that. And I think also the way that she's explaining things to her parents, it's like she's not very confident. And I think it has to do with the fact that she wasn't part of like the planning. But again, I just feel like Julia and Brandon are constantly acting like 2 teenagers that shouldn't have been married. You know what I mean? And her mom is like, I'm picking up on a lot of tension. Like, so already you can tell that she's gonna be super hyper aware of like anything that's happening. But one thing that we learned about Julia is that she says that she really doesn't talk about her feelings with her parents. She doesn't mention anything bad. She never wants them to worry. Brandon is like, well, that's not good to keep everything inside. And I agree, it's not good to keep everything inside. But I also don't think that it's healthy to tell your parents everything the way that he does. I think that the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle. But also something that I'm picking up quick is that they are struggling in communication because after all of these years, Brandon has not practiced his Russian. And again, learning languages is not easy. I'm not expecting him to be some sort of expert, but I do think it is insane that he can only say like 5 phrases at that, you know? And it's one of those things that I'm like, I blame Brandon, but I also blame Julia. And like, I tend to date a lot outside of my race. And even like early on, I'm making sure we're practicing phrases because you just never know. You never know who's going to be your future spouse. You want them to be able to communicate with your people. There's so many people in my family that only speak Spanish. I'm very close to my family. You're going to have to learn how to communicate with them. So I think that not only should your partner want to be able to bridge that gap, you also need to guide them. You also need to set the precedent that this is like very important. But anyway, they get past that first night. The next day, it is blazing hot and they're doing a tour of DC on one of those like 2-decker vans, and they're like up top. The sun is blazing. They're melting. And I think when people are hot, people are irritable. So they keep asking Brandon like, what is this monument? What does it mean? What does it stand for? Who is it for? And Brandon cannot answer, not a thing. And that's a lot of pressure to be the American that's like guiding you. And so they're making fun of the fact that he knows nothing, which I feel bad, but he's taken it well. But I'm also like, these vans are not cheap. Is there not a tour guide? Like, why isn't there someone there explaining it? But they're done with the sightseeing stuff. It is now time to go back home, okay? They pull up to their house. Julia notices balloons outside of her porch. She did not put them there. We saw the decoration that she put in their rooms. It was not this. They opened the door. It looks like Party City threw up in her living room with red, white, and blue. And she's like, what the hell? And out of nowhere, Ron and Betty appear. Surprise! And the way that Brandon was smiling, I know that he knew. I know that he knew. He's telling Julia that he had no idea. I don't believe him. Okay? And Julia looks pissed. And I would be pissed for her too. I know some of y'all will be like, oh my God, she's so ungrateful. Nikki, you're being bitchy about this. Hear me out. Hear me out. If it were anybody else, right? It would be, oh my God, so thoughtful. You're trying to, make everyone comfortable. But Ron and Betty made it clear that they are pissy about their room being taken. This is not about making her parents feel welcome. This is about setting the tone that like they reign supreme as the parents. They're the best parents. They're here all the time. This is their home. That's the energy. And I would be like, there's just so much overstepping at play because you have a key for emergencies. You do not have a key to make yourself at home. What if Julia didn't want all this decoration? What if she didn't want to have to clean all this up with Brandon? Also, she gave a very clear picture about what she wanted to do. They are arriving to their house late at night. She wanted her parents to settle in, get some rest, because now it would be rude if they go to sleep with Brandon's parents there. So now they have to fake niceties. Now they have to like perform for these people when these people come here weekly. Like give her parents some time. I think that this was very selfish. They have ulterior motives. I just don't care for it. And I especially like Julia, I think, told Betty, can't keep coming here without like telling me. And Betty's like, oh, I should have told you, but I didn't. As she's like chugging her wine.
We wanted to decorate.
Yeah, but I think you should tell us in advance when you're coming.
I probably should, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
Again, Brandon parents are cross-line and not have a bunches.
She pushes the envelope so much. I would have removed her key long ago. It's so rude. It's just infuriating. This would be grounds for me to get a divorce. I'm sorry. If I'm telling you as my partner, you need to have my back, your mom needs to know like her bounds. It's not that she's not welcome. And it's not that Julia maybe didn't want this. If Betty would have been like, hey, I would love to do something special for your parents. Is it okay if I come into your house? I don't care who it is. There is something incredibly invasive about someone coming into your home and rearranging shit. Without your consent, that will never be okay with me. And next week, it looks like they're going to get into it in front of her parents, which is, again, not what she wanted. I feel like they are sabotaging her parents' visit. Anyway, let's move on to Giorgi and Darcey. Let's talk about sabotage, okay? So Giorgi hasn't been back in like 13 years, which means he's missed out on a lot. And so they're gonna meet up with his sister. And I think that this moment was incredibly like beautiful, probably the most emotion that we've seen Giorgi show ever. They pull up to this like Renaissance looking park, which I think is so cool. But he picked this out because he's like, I want to be the cool uncle. He hasn't been back in 13 years, so he didn't go to his sister's wedding, the birth of his niece and nephew. He didn't go to their birthdays. He's missed out on so much. So this is like a homecoming. And it's also kind of like a soft launch for Darcey before he throws her in to his parents. And so they arrive, him and his sister hug, and at first he's like fighting back tears and Darcey is letting them out for him. But then eventually he just like surrenders to the moment and starts crying, and it was just so heartfelt. The way that he was hugging up on his niece and nephew, I was like, oh my god. And Giorgi and his sister are a lot alike in the way that they're like very stoic, but again, I think that that's cultural. When I witnessed this moment and how sweet it was, I was also like, Giorgi has had his papers for some time, and I think that there's a deeper story here as to why he didn't come back home. And I don't know if we'll ever really know the full scope, but it just makes me sad that like he's missed so much of his sibling's life. And I'm curious as to why, but maybe it's none of our business. The sister gets down to it, honey. In her confessional, she's like, Darcey's very beautiful, but I fear that the age thing will affect him in the long run and he may regret not having kids. So right off the bat, she's letting us know, nice girl, beautiful gowns. I don't know if she's from my brother. But they're at this place. It's like a medieval Renaissance looking place. He picked it out for his sister's kids, but he also picked it out because he wants Darcey to learn about his culture. And, you know, they're doing archery, sword fighting. And there's a moment where there's like sword fighting happening that Darcey steps away and she's next to his sister. And she is nervous and she's like struggling putting messages on the translate app. And she's just like, oh, you know, this is so beautiful. I hope that we get to, you know, have more moments like this together. And then you guys, she's like, oh my God, I love him. We've been married for a year, you know. Has he talked a lot about me?
I know I've been with Georgie for a while and we've been married for almost a year. Does he speak of me a lot?
I feel like there are probably more subtle ways to, you know, see if your partner has talked about you. And in some ways, I'm like, she's so shameless that she's free. But in many ways, I'm like, that shamelessness comes from pure insecurity and it makes her look childish. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe that she just asked her that. But luckily, it went well. The sister didn't consider it weird. The sister was like, yeah, he loves you a lot. He's really happy. He said wonderful things about you. And that made her feel good. And you would think that that would be enough to keep this girl just together, right? But it's not. And we'll see that in a second. We see them say their goodbyes, right? There's a moment where Georgie says goodbye to his sister. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm really nervous. I'm really happy, but I'm really nervous because I'm going to take her to meet my parents. And you know how our parents are. And I'm just nervous that they may judge her because of the age. And she's like, they want you to be happy. And I think that they'll only regret it if you regret not having kids. And his eyes look like they're glistening. So I'm like, what is he thinking? Like, what's going on? We never know what Georgie's thinking. Darcey never knows what he's thinking. And I feel like it is always the basis of their fights. So we see them in their hotel room, right? She is ready to party, honey. She's like, I brought lingerie. We are on a honeymoon. Like, oh, let's go. I want to say she is like dressed up really nicely, covered up, no cleavage, but she looks hot. She looks so amazing in this outfit. I'm like, okay, so she wants to go out on the town, right? Georgie's like, honestly, we could have some fun here, but we have to get up early because we're going to see my parents tomorrow. And she's like, whoa. I didn't know we were going to see your parents tomorrow. I thought that we had some time. Like, I thought that, you know, we were going to have our honeymoon a little longer and then I would have some time. And she was like, and now I'm going to be sleeping stressed about tomorrow. Just like she was stressed the night before, knowing that she was going to meet his sister. I totally get that. Even when I have like a regular meeting scheduled at my job, like I'm just so anxious about it. So I can totally empathize with her. But at the same time, girl, you might as well just get it out the way. See them and then have your honeymoon stuff after. Like, you're going to have it regardless. You're going to be here for a while. This sends her in a spiral, okay? Because she's like, oh, I just feel like, you know, I would like to know a plan of what we're doing. You always leave me in the dark. And I'm with her. Let me know ahead of time so I know how to prepare, so I know how to dress, so I just let me know, let me in. Don't just keep it inside. But the thing with Darcey, like nothing is ever about one thing. It always ripples into like a series of things. So she's like, oh, you know, this reminds me of the fact that you have a job and I don't know how much you make and you're just so secretive about your money. And again, not saying this is not important. I think that there is a way that you can deliver things, and the way that she delivers things immediately makes him shut down. And they just get nowhere. So at first he lies, being like, oh, well, you know, I don't really count my money. I don't really know how much I make, which is BS, right? But then he's like, why do you want me to tell you how much I make so you can spend it? I understand on one end, him possibly wanting to be financially responsible because he didn't come from money. She has been well off, I think, for most of her life, or like comfortable. I don't think he has. I get that end and you can communicate that with your partner. But on the other side, I'm like, Georgie, you have some nerve. Because there was a time that you were unemployed and she took care of you. She gave you money when you wanted it. She got you fur coats when you wanted it. She got you vacations when you wanted it. And you can communicate about your paycheck. That's insane. Because it sends the message of like, what's mine is mine. And so he's trying to be like, listen, let's keep things positive. Let's just have a good time. She's just pushing and pushing. And I get that this is like old stuff. She needs her answers and she needs it now. And she is spiraling, you guys. Like, oh, you probably don't want to tell me about your money because you're planning your exit. You probably already have someone in mind. You probably see all these sexy ladies at the spa. You've used me. You've gotten everything you want out of me, right? You don't want anything to do with me. And this is where Giorgi never de-escalates. He goes lower. She goes low, he goes lower. He's like, oh, yeah, I mean, the ladies at the spa do make more money than you. Is that the right thing to say to your spouse when they're telling you that they're worried about security? That is insane behavior, Giorgi. And from the things that she said, it sounds like they split bills, but she just would like to know more about him. Like, it's the fact that he puts up a wall at every turn. So she's like, oh, I'm just so tired of this. It's the same secretiveness. This is why I left you the last time and you kept begging to come back. And for what? Like, we're doing the same thing. And he finally is like, I don't open up to people. If people don't make it easy for me to trust, and I'm trying to get a word in with you and you keep cutting me off. Like, maybe if you let me talk, I will feel more comfortable to like say what I have to say. But until then, like what do you want me to do? And he says, like, I know that we need to work on communication, but I do agree that it's not just on his end. She does too. And again, it's like what I've been saying from the beginning of time. They chose each other and they know how each act. I will never understand the disconnect or just like the stubbornness to see things from each other's perspective. I also feel bad for Darcey because I feel like she's in a constant state of tension of her own making, right? Because she just can't have a good moment be that. It's almost like she has brought in every single baggage of every relationship and it is constantly like at her forefront. It just like always spills. Like, she can't help herself. And I think her lack of ability to be able to read the room, to be able to be like, this is the right time to bring this up, this is not the right time. The fact that there's no such thing for her is worrisome and it's embarrassing. And I hate to say that, right? Because I think that she means well. But after a while, like, your mess can't be everyone's issue. It can't be everyone's problem. And I think he in this moment is like, come here, like hugs up on her, kisses her, and tries to make everything better because he knows this about her. And he's afraid that this is going to carry over in the meeting with his family. And it is. Even if you didn't have this argument, it was gonna happen because she just can't help herself. And I feel really bad for both of them at this point for different reasons. The final couple is Tigerlily&Adnan. Tigerlily is about to pop. She is so swollen up, honey, that she's finally wearing flats, which honestly, she should have been wearing a long time ago, okay? She's going shopping with her stepmom. Her stepmom is appalled at the fact that she only wants beige things because, you know, she thinks she's Kim K. She wants all these beige things in the most colorful, vibrant children's clothing store. They see a cute little piggy. The stepmom is like, oh my God, get her this, get him this. And she's like, we can't have pigs in the house. And this causes a stepmom to really get into the topic that she wants. She's like, oh, we can't have pigs, we can't have spaghetti in my meatballs. Just like, all these changes. And I know that the baby is going to be Muslim, but, you know, are your other kids going to have to be Muslim too? Are you going to have to be Muslim? And Tigerlily does this thing where she's very much like Libby, right? In front of everyone, she's like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, you guys are overreacting. But then behind closed doors, she is struggling with all of this and fighting her husband about it, but then pretending like she's A-okay, which is worrisome. But she's like, you guys don't have to worry. I stand my ground. I don't do things that I don't want to do. And the mom is like, I'm worried about you. Like, you're already changing. And what if he, you know, asks for more changes once the baby comes? And again, if Tigerlily wants to convert on her own accord, that isn't anyone's problem, right? I think my issue and her family's issue is that she may be forced into it. She reassures her, no, my kids are not gonna convert, you know, only Zayn is gonna be Muslim. You don't have to worry about me. And the whole time the stepmom is talking, she's like basically rolling her eyes like a teenager, right? We see her at her doctor's appointment, and I think she's like at this point like 2 weeks away from her scheduled C-section. Adnan is again still throwing jabs at the fact that she wants to eat her placenta. And she's like, I'm not gonna like eat it. It's not like I'm gonna have the slab of meat at home. They're gonna turn it into powder and it has benefits. She's done it before in her previous pregnancies. He's being extra weird. And it gets weirder the next time we see them at their house. It is the day before her C-section. She should be calm. She should be as cool as a cucumber. She should not be stressed. She probably shouldn't even be on her feet, right? But she's baking cookies. She has a really good attitude. And then there's this annoying piece of man just looking on to her, right? And so he keeps being like, okay, yeah, you know, we got the stroller, we got the car seat, we got the crib, we got everything you want. And she's like, well, what's that? And he was like, we have everything you want. You mean safety things, essentials that your kid needs? Those aren't like selfish requests that Tiger Lily has made, you know? But he's like, we did everything you want, yet we don't have everything I want. This is why you don't procreate with someone that you've known for 2 minutes. Because of what? And she's like, what do you want, babe? And he's like, well, my child is going to be Muslim. But what if something happens to me? He's going to be a criminal. He's going to drink like these American kids. He's not going to have anyone to guide him. And Tiger Lily, he's like, he's going to be a murderer. And Tiger Lily's like, our kid is not going to be that. Like, relax. And he's like, how do we know if no one's going to be here to teach him? Because I'm not going to be here. But don't you have brothers? His uncles are not going to step up for him? No. This is a manipulation tactic to be like, you have one final day to make it right. One final day to become Muslim. And then he's like, it's easy, really. You just have to say 3 words and believe it. Doesn't it defeat the purpose of telling someone to believe it when they don't? You're forcing them to believe something because it makes you happy, because you'll stop pouting only if she converts. And Tiger Lily's like, baby, you told me when we were married that you wouldn't force me to do that. Well, like, what else do you want that would be different than what I'm doing? And then he mentioned something about like covering her hair. Like, he would like that. And she's like, but you specifically told me when I was in Jordan that you didn't want that. And he was like, oh, well, I changed my mind. You don't get to change your mind without it being a conversation. Also, just because you change your mind doesn't mean that your word is law. She has a right to choose if this new change is something that she wants to accept. And also just how convenient it is that he wants her to adapt to his changes, but when she's asked him to stop smoking, he can't even do that. But he wants her to change her religion. He now wants her to change her appearance more. He does say he wants her to cover her hair. And she's like, my hair, like, I don't want to do that. Spoiler alert, she does end up converting and she does end up covering her hair and she does end up just changing everything. But in this moment, she's just like, what is happening? And he's talking to her like he's some sort of cult leader, like, I'm here to lead you, you know, so that you don't go to hell. I'm here to make things right in your life. And she's like, baby, I don't like when you get so judgy. And he's like, you don't believe in anything. She's like, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. And he starts downplaying her belief. Like, it's not important. Like, she's a fake believer. And she like starts switching the topic. I think she like burns her hand. And she's like, oh, babe, like I burned my hand because I'm using the wrong nails. And he's like, you want to talk about your nails right now? I think that was a way for her to like try to de-escalate, but it just enrages him. He's yelling at her. The more that he's yelling, she's becoming smaller. He then calls her a demon, that she's acting so different, that she must be a demon, and that this is the only way that she's going to get better. And that sets her off, and she just like walks away, like choking on tears.
Oh,
But you're being judgy.
Oh, yeah, you make me judgy because I'm talking to you and you have different personality.
No.
Talking with me like a demon. You see me like it show me nothing. Like nothing real we talking about it. أنا بالدين تبعي.
That is a lot to hear. And again, I think that this is so violent to do it when she's about to pop. When she's about to enter her most vulnerable state. This tells you everything you need to know about Adnan. And he's so self-righteous, yet so wrong. And again, if she wants to convert because it comes from her, that's a beautiful thing. But make no mistake, Tiger Lily is not converting for her own will. This is coercion. He is making her as uncomfortable as can be until she has no choice but to submit to be able to have peace in her household. That's violent. It looks like it continues next week. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this makes her water break. Like, this is incredibly stressful. It's truly crazy. But that's it for the recap, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I know that we discussed a lot, so please share. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.